Hello, my name is Alan Jacobson. Today I'm going to do a video that's a full USAR1 training session. It's what we call a product orientation training session that we offer to all of our customers, whether they've been around for a few years or whether they just bought their first camera. So this is something that we do quite frequently, and we engage with the team and we have question and answer periods. This one is basically going to be just me talking at you, the audience here, and this is for those teams that just can't seem to collect everybody together, but they still want the benefit of the product orientation training. So I'm going to go through the camera, the application, and all of the accessories that are inside of the USAR1 kit from Agility Technologies. All right, so let's begin. So essentially, what we're talking about here is this camera here. This is the FL360 spherical rescue camera. It is different from all cameras that come before it, where we don't have that articulating camera head. So that articulating camera head is gone. What we do now is we have a camera on this side and a camera on this side. They're 180-degree wide angle, sometimes referred to as fisheye, and we bring them together in software currently on the Android operating system. So that FL360 application, it resides on the Google Play Store, free of charge, and you can download updates at any particular point in time. We do use it currently on specific Samsung tablets. We'll be opening up the software at some point in 2021 to use most current up-to-date Android tablets as well as iOS for Apple, current Apple products. So the camera itself, very small. It can be put on a pole just like a traditional rescue camera, or you can do a variety of other things with it. So being that it's independent, you can just hold it in your hand and use it that way, or you can actually attach a series of accessories. One of them is the ring here that allows you to then do a vertical drop of the camera over the side. And nice to go along with high angle rescue, or you're doing something over the side of a building, you need to look down or into a hole or a tunnel or pipe or any of those kinds of things. So now you always attach two cables to it. The idea is that one supports the camera itself, although it's not heavy at all, but the other one is there to keep it from spinning, right? So that you can keep the camera basically in the correct position, lower it down. And then it's nice if it ever gets caught up on these edges here, that the two ropes can actually jiggle the camera back and forth to get it out. Predominantly, the camera is used on a pole. In the USAR kit pole, we have a 10-foot expandable pole, which I'll show you later in the video. So the camera itself operates off batteries. And these batteries are a lithium-ion battery. They're quite small. These ones here, they're quite familiar. If anybody is, likes to vape or anything like that, these are standard Panasonic batteries. So if you actually peeled off this label, you would see the brand of Panasonic on there. We do order ours with a protective circuit, and this means that if you accidentally put the cameras in backwards, it won't damage the batteries into the camera backwards, it will not damage the camera. So we do prefer that if you do buy them online, not through Agility, that you get those with a protective circuit in them. All right, so the batteries go in as thus. Two batteries will operate the camera from 3 to 4 hours under normal operating. I'll show you some tricks to actually extend the life of the batteries in the camera, but they're a nice, powerful battery packed into a small package. Now, having said that, the camera is just barely under 2 inches in diameter. So some of you may have to upgrade your core drill bits in order to accommodate this size of camera. So if you actually do a core drill bit, you take that core out and you measure it, it's exactly 2 inches across, you'll be fine, because that means your hole will be actually 2¼ inches in diameter. If it's less than that, you're going to have a problem getting the camera through the core inch hole. The other advantage of obviously going to bigger core drill holes is that you'd be able to put water bottles and things of that nature if you actually do encounter a victim in a void space. So just be aware, you're going to need 2¼ inch bore holes to get this camera through. Otherwise, we made it as small as possible, but we really wanted to give lots of battery life, and then the two batteries give us the power to operate the camera, and it gives us the time and length. So pop the batteries in, At this particular point in time, I have the option of 2 lids. Okay, so we have the standard lid, which has a microphone and speaker in it, so it allows you the two-way conversation with a victim in a space or with a rescuer over the side of a building. However, it's a two-way conversation lid. Then the other lid is an environmental lid. So what we've done is, this is not an underwater camera. However, we do give you the option of IP68, which means 10 feet, 3 meters, right, for 30 minutes. So IP68 with this lid on. Always ensure that the little ribbon for the batteries is on the inside, because the ribbon sticking out will break the seal and allow water into the unit. So with the environmental lid, you can go in underwater for 10 feet. All right, and that's it. So never lend this to your dive rescue team, because they will damage your camera. So I'm going to put on the lid with the speaker and the microphone on it, so that we have the ability to have two-way conversation. Easy enough. We provide tools inside of all of our kits. It's a 4mm hex tool, and easy to find if you lose or damage it. It's standard, and it just goes in as thus. You don't have to get it on super tight. There is like a ring around it that seals it, so you don't have to go cranking it. All right, not too tough, right? And then we do actually have a label on here saying, please don't over tighten. Anyway. So now that the camera is all sealed up, ready to go, all I need to do is push this button and hold it until the little blue light comes on. There we go. So now it's in its boot up phase. So the camera will take about 40 seconds to boot up the systems, all of the technology built inside. Then it'll go either green, yellow, or red, indicating the strength of the batteries inside. So if you see red, stop it right there. Just start again with a fresh set of batteries. If you missed that, don't worry about it, because we have a battery indicator in the software. Now, once it actually starts flashing blue and red, then it's in pairing mode. And what we use is 2.4 gigahertz wireless to communicate with this camera, between the camera and the tablet. Currently, it is one camera to one tablet. However, at some particular point in time, we'll open this up so that you can have the camera communicate with multiple devices. We'll do a new video when that takes place. So now it's flashing red and blue, so it's ready to do a connect. So I'm just going to put it aside here for the moment. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put it on the supplied pole. And I'll just give you a little indicator here, a little trick on this pole as well. So way it ships out of the factory is that when you go all the way to the end of the thread, you've turned this thing all the way around. I know it's about 20 times, but once you get right to the end, it'll actually have the FL360 in this position. I'll just show you a little picture here. Let's see here, of like this. So you basically have the camera, all right, FL360 parallel to the ground, and then you can see the position of the pistol grip that comes with the unit. So this is important because we're not an articulating camera head anymore. So that articulating camera head requires you to rotate the camera in order to see the entire space. That's no more. So the camera goes in this position, and you may go up, down, left, or right, or further inside the space, right? But you're not going to rotate the camera head. So that's the biggest clue between the difference, spherical versus 360. And I do have a separate video on that, but it's very clear. Now, should this not align, right, or you mix up poles, you maybe bought multiple kits and you've mixed up the poles, then what you can do is there's a little tool inside, little Allen key, right? And what that does, I just dropped it on the floor, but what it does is it allows you to loosen up this ring here. And then you can adjust to make sure that when you get right to the end, the camera's in this position. So I strongly recommend that. Speaking of teams who have multiple cameras, the other thing I highly recommend you to do, and there's a couple different reasons for it, let me grab this thing off the floor, is that we want to have the camera connect to the same tablet and used on the same pole every time. And the other thing is accountability. So if you have 3 or 4 kits, I suggest they, either red, blue, green, yellow kit, or 1, 2, 3, or squad 1, 2, however you decide to organize it, make sure that you label each kit individually so that the blue tablet goes with the blue camera, goes with the blue pole, right? And then you won't have any of these adjustment issues. You won't have any of these having to reconnect cameras to different tablets that haven't connected before. You might have to put in the password if you keep mixing them around. So it's sort of a maintenance thing. Also, you want accountability so that everything in the blue kit goes back into the blue kit. So if that went to that team, that team is responsible for getting every item back into the case at the end of the day. Same with the red kit, the yellow kit. So strongly suggest that. All right, so now that I'm just going to switch screens here. Now that I've got my camera ready to pair, all right, I'm going to launch the FL360 app. Now, because it's an Android app and it's on the Android Google Play Store, you're going to need to set up a Android settings, like an email address for your camera. And it can be one camera for all of the one email address for all the FL360s you have. So you need to set up an account. The other thing about that account is that with a Gmail account, you also get a Gmail address, you get a Google Drive, you get the ability to share, you get the ability to pin pictures to Google Maps. So there's a lot of advantages of having that. So I suggest you have, Fire Department XYZ, FL360@gmail.com. There's your setup file. So having done that, so we have this here. This is our landing screen, right? This is our home screen. We have the ability to connect to the camera wirelessly. We have the ability to connect wired. And that's been currently only for the 10-inch tablet and the USAR1 kits that have been able to do hardwire. Starting basically June of 2021, we'll be moving to an 8-inch tablet, which is the Active 3, that also allows hardwire. So anybody buying kits like the RSK, MRK next month and forward will have the latest tablet, which will also allow for hardwired communications. Then we have the ability to put the camera to sleep, and that's how we can extend that range out a little bit. We have a gallery where we store all our videos and images, and this is nice. It's instant playback, unlike a lot of the other systems that are out there. We have the ability to do GPS location. Now, keep in mind the GPS location is the tablet. It's not the camera. So wherever you take a picture or video, it's capturing the GPS location of the tablet that took that video that's communicating with the FL360 camera. In order to help you when you're not connected to Wi-Fi in your station or whatever, we have the ability to download the maps of your area so that you can view them when you're offline. Sort of like offline Google Maps, we have that ability to store in here. So now that my camera behind me is flashing back and forth to connect, I'm going to hit the wireless button. And this is a change. So somebody who's been using this camera before, we used to actually be able to select the camera within the software, but Android has made some specific changes to the security of their software, which is good news. So we've complied with that. So now any wireless device has to be chosen through the wireless app within Android. And this is just as well because the same thing will take place when we go onto iOS. We will have to go to the iOS selection of wireless devices. So on the camera, there is a serial number on the camera itself on the heatsink here, and that will show up now as a choice for wireless. So it's the FL360 10519. If you have 3 different cameras operating at the same time, you'll see all 3 cameras. And frankly, if you're actually out in the field, you won't see all these other choices of wireless options I have at all the different companies surrounding Agility here. So I'm going to select the FL360 10519. It's going to come in. Sometimes it'll come up with a little thing saying, hey, we can't connect to the internet. You just say acknowledge, no problem, right? Because we're not going to get internet through the FL360 camera. On most tablets, there's a hardwired back button that we use to go backwards, and that just brings us back into the program. On the Tab A's, it's a little slide up, to get the backward button. So we've kind of gone from the FL360 app into the Android operating system and now back again. This is important to understand that if you keep switching your cameras and your tablets, they're going to come up with, they ask for the password for the FL360 camera. So that's where you want to do it once, get it set up, or we send it out of the factory already connected using the password. So if you mix and match, that's where you'll run into the password issue. And the password will be in the manual, or you can contact us for it. I don't want to broadcast it here on YouTube. So now that we're connected to the camera, a few other things pop up. You'll see that the battery comes up and it's fully green. These are 100% charged batteries. I did that this morning. It'll stay green only for a very short period of time. Then it'll go to yellow. And yellow will be its sort of operating time. It'll stay in yellow for, you know, that most of that 3 to 4 hours. And then it'll go red, indicating it's time to change the batteries. If you're still in yellow, you can do what we call a hot swap, where you can take out one battery, put in a new one battery, take out the second battery, that kind of thing. But it has to be enough juice left in the camera to do that hot swap. It's not absolutely necessary to do hot swaps. The camera only takes 40 seconds to boot up. But anyway, the nice thing is the batteries will charge, and I'll go into the charger a little bit later, but the batteries charge much faster than you can actually deploy them, like to decrease the batteries. So the other thing on here that pops up that's new is the diagnostics. So what will happen is it'll go through, and when I hit the button, it'll do it again. It'll go through another diagnostics of the situation. It'll show you all of the different things that are going on, all of the different technologies inside that we go through and test. If the camera's misbehaving, a lot of times this will give you an error message and allows us to sort of discuss what's gone wrong or for servicing, that kind of thing. It'll also indicate here at the bottom, if you scroll to the bottom, the temperature of the camera. Generally, this will operate at about 54 degrees Celsius. So that little red heat sink that I showed you will get hot, and that's okay. And if it's hot outside and the camera's been used for a long time, it'll get very hot. So we still recommend, as you always do anyway for protection, is wear gloves, right? And those gloves you can now get with the haptic touch, so that you can control your tablet. It's kind of nice. You can buy them that way, or you can buy this little tin of paint that gives you can paint your favorite tips of your favorite gloves, and that'll actually give you the haptic touch for your tablet. So don't be concerned if it's 54 degrees Celsius. The camera itself, although it's never happened, when it gets hot, too hot, it will shut itself off to protect its circuitry. More likely you're going to have issue with the tablet. So when you're out on a hot sunny day and you're not using the tablet, don't leave it laying around in the sun where it can get extremely hot, because it may not power back up. It also has a protective circuit in there if the electronics inside are too hot. So I suggest that you keep it in the shade, put it back in its case, put it in your backpack, that kind of thing. Just keep it out of the sun when you're not using it. When you're using it, you're usually moving around through shade, your body shades it, that kind of thing. So you'll be fine when you're generally using it. But if you lay it out in the sun, it's black, it's glass, it'll absorb the heat. You may not get it to start again until it cools off. Right? The firmware version is also here. So if we ever ask you, and we'll remind you of where to find it, but this is where you'll see the firmware version of the camera itself. So now I'm going to go back to the main screen here. And I'm actually going to hit the start button, and it came up with my microphone automatically live, so I'm getting a bit of an echo. So I'm just going to actually mute the microphone there just by hitting the microphone itself. And then now my camera's on. So you're seeing our boardroom here at Agility Technologies. So how this works is, and I'm going to show you a different screen. Let's see here. So you can see my finger on here as well. I'm getting a little glare. So my finger on the tablet now controls the stream that's coming from the camera. So you're not actually controlling anything on the camera, just the streaming information that's coming off that camera. So the biggest thing you'll notice is this big round circle in the center. This is always, always, always the front of the camera. So you can think about this rubber stopper here as that circle, right? That's always the front of the camera. Now as I turn and rotate, I'm going to come to an X. And what the X is always the rear of the camera, where the pole goes in, kind of thing, right? So this is one of the only cameras on the market that will show you the rear, where you actually entered into the void space. And I'll show you a little bit more of that when I put it into that gray search box you see there below. So the X, this is sort of guidelines for you. So there you can see me, my back of my head, right? And then So some of the other things. So you see these lines, these red and green lines? Well, the green is always going to be the right camera. So when you're looking at something and you see green lines on there, you're going to know that you're looking through the right camera. Remember I talked about positioning. You put the camera in and you don't rotate it. You put it in straight, FL360 on the right-hand side. Then as I scroll around, you'll see that the color turns to red. So now I'm looking out through the red camera. Or the left side is red. Now, the other thing I can do is I can go up and down, of course, right? Just using my finger. And you'll see in the top right-hand corner, this little red line that goes down, up and down. This is showing me that I'm looking up. And then as I rotate, I'm going to just straighten my camera, and that field of view indicator, you can see this almost looks like a radar, right? It's showing me that I'm looking to the right. It's now showing me that I'm looking to the rear, left, and then front again. If I ever get lost in the space, all I do is I tap that field of view indicator once, and it'll bring me right dead center. So these are all cues that we've put on the camera to make sure you don't get lost in that void space, right? So you have lots of on-screen cues to tell you where you are. Now some of the other buttons on here, we actually have the ability to turn on some light. We have 6 LEDs in the camera itself that gives you light, and you can adjust how brightness it is. You can also turn it automatically full or off just by hitting the light bulb here, right? On the left-hand side, top left-hand side, there's a little button up here with an eye on it. And what this is an overlay. So this is an overlay telling you what all these buttons do. So if you ever forget, this is like a quick little cue as to what all these buttons do. Right? So I'm just going to hit it again, and it'll take it away. The other little trick is if I double tap the screen, all of these little things go away. And I can, even in settings, reduce the color of the lines, the green and the red, so I can make them more and more subtle or off entirely. So I'm going to double click it again, bring up some buttons. The little house brings us back to the home screen where you saw all those tiles. The releasing the microphone allows me to talk, and then I can hit actually this little other button, and I can push to talk using the microphone in the tablet. All right? Or you can put a headset on, right? And we do supply a headset in the kit that allows you to actually use the headset to communicate back and forth if it's a noisy environment. This little red button down here, this is designed really so that you can use your thumb to actually control the camera. I'm not very good at it. It's like a joystick control. I get lost very easily using that, so I don't use it myself personally, but it is there for those who are trying to do like a one-handed operation. I'm not sure why I lost so much of my light. There we go. Then we have the ability to take a quick video, right? We take a picture, so I'm just going to take a picture with the camera button, right? It's a couple screenshots, and then there's like this circle, this half circle or round circle. This is just basically forces the camera and the tablet to redo a connection. So if you're having any issues wirelessly, you can actually force the connection by using that circular thing. So now I'm going to show you some of the powerful benefits of the ability to record. So I'm going to hit the record button. I'm going to turn on my lights on the camera, and then I'm going to switch here so that you can see that my lights are on here, and I'm going to put this into my search box. All right, so let's go back here. I'm going to insert the camera here. I'm going to put it in a little further using the telescopic pole, and then I'm going to rest it on this chair. Okay. Then I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to stop the recording. Okay. I'm going to go back to my main area. I'm going to pick up go hit the gallery, and then the videos. And now, first of all, you can see some of the pictures that I took, right? So the picture that I took is static. It's just a picture. It's just a JPEG file. I can do some things with it. I can hit the little I button, and it'll tell me what camera took the picture, what the resolution was, the latitude and longitude of the tablet, right? The date and time, and we put the UTC date on there and time because that way it doesn't matter if you've left, your geographical area and flew somewhere else in a different time zone, you'll still be able to automatically figure out what time it was that it was taken. The file size, right? And then this little other button comes up, which is quite familiar. It's the share button. This is built into Android. And this now, because I've got that Android account, I can now Gmail this picture to somebody once I get back on a station Wi-Fi, or all of our tablets have the ability to put a SIM card in them. So you can go onto a data network. So you can still be connected to your camera, and using the data network, I believe you can send it out. Now I think we have to do a little updating on that, but we're working towards that. Generally, it's not very often used, because, but it can be in the future. Then I think that then you can use the Google Drive to save files to, again, once you get into the Wi-Fi again. So I'm just gonna, you can also delete the picture. So I'm gonna delete the picture there. So I'm gonna go back now, and I'm gonna go to videos. Now, top left-hand corner is where always the latest videos that were taken are. So I'm gonna hit that. It's a 38-second video, all right? So you can see, and I can have full control, so you can see me picking up the camera here, right? So I get the 360-degree image on my video. Now as it goes into the hole here, I'm going to pause it. So it just got into the hole of the search box, and I can now have a look around. So this is the advantage of being able to see exactly where you enter the space. So now I can go to the left here, or to the right, and I can see, whoa, there's a power cable there. Got to worry about that. This side is open. All right, so that's all I can see for now. So I'm going to let it go in a little further. I'm going to pause it here, and I'm going to look down. I can now pinch and zoom, right, using my fingers just to pinch and zoom. Here, let me go back to this. So I can pinch and zoom with my fingers. I can see, whoa, look at that. There's like a finger down there and a play toy. You can see over here another power outlet. This is always helpful to give you sizing of a space by looking at something you know is 4 inches tall. It gives you sort of insight as to what size of everything is inside. I can let it go a little further. Then I went to there, and then I pulled it back a little bit. I'm going to pause, and now I can scroll around again. Remember, this is where I came in. That's the rear of the camera with the X, and then my circle is in front. Now, under video, I can also take a picture from within the video. So what I strongly recommend that people do is that instead of taking pictures, you take short videos. And I can demonstrate that. So if I go back, I'm going to go hit the hamburger icon here and go home. I'm going to start the camera back up. It's inside the search box. Give myself some light. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 2-second video. All right, so that was a 2-second video. Lost a little signal there, but go back to my gallery. Remember that on the left is always the latest one. It's a 2-second video. You can see that here in the bottom right. Now I'm going to go to my share. Now remember, 2-second video, I still get the entire space. There's the top of the search box, there's the bottom, the sides. You see these logos in here. These are the early adopters of our kits. We really appreciate their taking a chance as us, years ago that when we first started out, they took a chance for us. But anyway, so I got all of this information on a 2-second video. Now I'm going to go to the share button. I'm going to go to the info button. That file is only 1.1 megabytes. That's small. So you're looking at roughly about 1 megabyte per second when you do a recording. So a 3-second video would be roughly 3 megabytes in size, that kind of thing. That's easy to email, easy to share, but just think all the data you have in that 2-second video. So like I say, when I suggest instead of taking a static picture, you always take 1 or 2-second videos. You can always get a picture from within inside, right? So I can zoom in on that, and now I can take a screenshot from within inside the video, right? So if I'd forgotten some or missed something in the photo, I can't do anything about it. But if I miss something in the video, I can scroll around because I have the entire 360-degree image in that 2-second video. So that's pretty powerful. So think about that in a variety of different ways. Say you're walking down a street and after a hurricane, and you're trying to determine which houses survived and which ones didn't. So instead of taking photos of each house, you can literally walk down the middle of the street with your 360 camera and you can look on either side, right? And you can scroll around to see which houses survived and which ones didn't, that kind of thing. All right, so that's basically the simple operation of the camera itself. It's very straightforward to use. The big thing that you need to understand is that the camera sits static with the FL360 on the right. You go up, down, left or right, or further in or out, or down, vertical drop, but you do not rotate the camera. It's remarkably how much faster the rescue, the search technique goes, or a variety of other things. We've been trying to really push the idea that this camera can be used just on a general rescue truck for all kinds of rescues, like for the medical side of things, because all you need to do is get one of these cameras into a space. Think about a car wreck, with a rig, a big, truck on the highway, and you need to see inside the sleeper to make sure that the driver didn't have his wife with him or his pet or his child, right? So you want to look inside that sleeper. All you need to do is get one of these cameras inside. Or you want to be in a vehicle accident where the car is crunched and you want to look at their feet. You don't need to get the entire camera in there. You just need to get one of the lenses, and that'll give you anywhere from 180 to 90 to 60, whatever degrees of space you need, right, to look. Articulating camera heads, they just take up too much space because that articulating camera head to get the pointed at, just takes up way too much space. All right, so back to search though. Because it is wireless, so we have the ability to use this camera as a two-person operation. So if you think about the previous cameras that came before, they have a camera head and a wire connected through the pole to a video display on the pole. So they're basically forcing you to use this as a one-person operation. However, using wireless, we have the ability to actually do this as a two-person operation. So we can have one person who's responsible for the pole and the camera, putting into void spaces, and the other person responsible for following along and basically directing that person. So I'm just going to show you a couple images that we've taken over the years of people who are using it this way. In fact, we were invited out to Crisis City in Kansas, and we tested this out. We had one person doing it as a single person, then we had two people doing it, and generally the two-person operation would find the placed victim faster. Just because they work as a team working along. And the safety side of it is quite something. So think about using this camera a little bit differently than you've done in the past. Certainly under training, you want to do it under training, so it's not when you wait till you're at an event, but try it with a two-person operation, this using the full aspect of the wireless that we've given you. So that's kind of a helpful hint there for you. In fact, we've got this great little video that was given to us by Indianapolis Fire Department, allowed for us to use, that kind of really demonstrates how this wireless works. By detaching the video from the pole, it made it a whole lot easier to do the actual rescue. So this is again Indianapolis Fire Department. They're very good at recording their rescue scenes and then putting it onto their social media sites. Keep their customers, their citizens engaged in what they do day to day. But because they had this FL360 on their rescue truck, as well as two more that are in their Indianapolis Task Force 1 warehouse, they had access to this on this call where a dog had chased a gopher down a hole, and the fire department was called out to get the stuck dog out of the space. So they used the FL360 to sort of see what situation the dog was in. You can see the cameras off, the tablets off to the side. It's not attached to the pole. It made it a whole lot easier for them to actually see the dog, see what they were going to do, how they're going to dig that out. They ended up having to remove the whole shed to get underneath and get that dog out to its very grateful family. So that's sort of the operation of the camera. So I've gone through the wireless, I've gone through a few of the other things that are going on. So I want to talk now about all the accessories that actually come with the USAR kit, and really sort of to help you out there in the field use this in different ways. So as we go through, I've got let's change my screen here a little bit. So we've talked about the tablet a little bit. It's an IP68 Samsung tablet. The 10-inch version and the 9-inch version all have hardwired buttons that are shipped out in 2021, most of 2020 as well. The app and everything's on there. So that's fairly straightforward. It just charges through USB-C, and we supply the charging unit along with it. Some of the other accessories that you'll notice that have come in the kit is these little black cases here. So I usually take them out of the orange thing and then put them into the bag that we supply. But what these are for is to use CR123A disposable lithium-ion batteries. So these batteries are used a lot in flashlights now, heads-up displays, thermal imaging camera, all kinds of stuff, right? So a lot of teams now have boxes of these things on their rigs. So these are handy to have. You can put 4, so 2 in each of these sleeves, put them into the camera, and you can run the camera now for up to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour using these disposable batteries. So it just gives you an alternative to using the lithium ions that we supplied. This little orange case that comes in here, don't throw it away, it's very handy. When you use the batteries, when you're not using the batteries, you put them into these cases before you put them into your pocket. So you can see that the contact for the positive is protected here. This allows you to put it in your pocket and not worry about making contact between the positive and the negative and shorting out the battery in your pockets through coins and keys and all of those things. So it's a protective way to actually transport lithium ion. Now, the other way you could use it is if the batteries are dead, you've used them, you can put them in the opposite way so that the negative or the positive is facing up. And this tells you that these batteries have to be charged when you get back to the rig. So there's a couple different uses for this battery holder. Now, to charge these batteries and the USAR1 kit, we supply you with the X-Star charger. This X-Star charger is quite intelligent. It's got a lot of different features in it. The couple of one that I'll show you is the ability to fast charge. So if I put a battery in slot 1 and I put a battery in slot 4, I can now actually hit this button and change it what normally is 1 amp to 2 amps. And thereby charging the batteries twice as fast. So that's kind of a nice feature. If you put all 4 batteries in, it'll automatically drop to 1 amp, and it'll take much longer to charge the batteries. However, it still takes less time to charge the batteries than it does to actually draw down the batteries in the field. So you can constantly cycle through batteries on a long deployment. A couple of the other things on here is there's a slot in the back that allows you to use these adapters that were part of the kit, so we included them into our USAR kit. So it basically plugs in the USB, you tap these together and it lightens them up, and you can now test batteries using the positive and the negative. I just find it easier just to put the batteries straight into the charger itself. However, if you want to test batteries that are much larger, you can use this to do that. The other thing that it comes with the charger is a DC adapter so that you can plug this into your truck and you can actually charge the charger, your batteries that way through the charger. There is a USB charger on the back that you can charge your iPhone or the tablet that we include, but it's very slow. So I don't recommend it for charging a tablet. It'll take quite a bit of time to charge your tablet that way. We've already talked about the ring. This is the ability to drop or lower the camera down into a space. The other thing we include is this power bank. So this power bank can either come black or gray, mostly gray nowadays, but it's a 10,400 milliamp power bank that allows you to run the tablet for an additional 7, maybe even up to 8 hours, 9 hours in the field. So you just basically plug the charge cable from your tablet into the top of this, and this allows you then to power your tablet in the field for long deployments, right? So it's kind of handy to have an extra battery pack inside. The headset, which we include, is rated roughly 24 NR rated. It's not really a safety headset, but it does block out enough sound so that when you're using it in the field and you want to do a two-way communication with your victim potentially, this gives you a little bit of a fighting chance to block out the existing noise. It just has the 3-prong plug that plugs into the tablet. Now, because the tablet has Bluetooth built into it, and we're using the 2.4 gigahertz wireless, you could technically buy a Bluetooth headset, connect it to the tablet, and use it to do the communicating with the victim, and thereby being wireless from your head to the tablet and from the tablet to the camera. So that's pretty slick. One of the big things that we include in the kit is the ability to go hardwire, right? So on the hardwire, we include 2 cables, right? One coiled and one straight. They all have like 90-degree angle plugs on them except for one. So what it is we connect these 2 together. You'll see that they don't actually go all the way. There is a gap there. Don't worry about that. Then we have the right angle USB-C that goes into the tablet. And then we have the straight cable that goes down the pole. So let me just switch to this view here. I've already put a different tablet, just so I don't disconnect the one from the system here, into the pole. Right? I'm going to put this on its end. And I'm going to take the straight cord cable, the only one that'll fit through the pole, because everyone else is a right angle. So we kind of do that just to save you guys time, not putting it in wrong the first time. Then we pop out. I usually just use the tool that comes with it. Just sort of pop out the end. Generally, I get it the first time. There, of course, it's on video or not. Now this cable goes into the back of the camera. There's only one way it can go on, so sometimes you have to rotate it and move it around until you hear it sort of click into place. To release it, you just pull back on the ring and it'll unlock the connector. But once you get it in there, right, so there we go. Let's tighten all these up here. There, it's locked in place. Then the tablet, I'm just going to turn this one on here. It plugs into the side of the tablet, the USB-C. It'll think it's going to charge, but it's not. You will not draw a battery from your camera to charge the tablet. That's not going to happen, even though the little lightning bolt comes up. It's just something we can't change, but it will not draw down your camera batteries. Slow charging, don't worry about that. Just say OK. Now that I got everything connected, I'm just going to go into the software. I'm going to hit the wired button. And that's going to actually connect me hardwired. Now, the first time you do this, it will actually leave this screen and go to the Android software and ask you to hit USB tethering. Because I've done this already once today, it does it automatically. But once you do that, you just hit the USB tethering, hit the back button, and you get back to the screen. And then here we go into basically operating the camera hardwired. Okay, so the hardwired gives you the ability to use the camera underwater. Cameras do not work wirelessly underwater. Now remember, 10 feet for 30 minutes, that's the maximum. The pole itself, telescoping pole, will allow you to extend out the 10 feet. And that 10 foot is the maximum that you use it underwater. So we generally recommend that if you're going to use the camera underwater, you put it onto the pole and use it hardwired, which you have to. And then you put it into the water. Maybe you're in a canal and you're looking at a vehicle that's submerged and you just want to make sure the driver's not still sitting inside the seat. That's where you might use this. Don't give it to your dive team, as I said, because they will wreck it. It is not an underwater camera. So that's essentially all the accessories. Mind you, a shoulder strap to basically connect to the pole, and you can put it over your shoulder. But that kind of explains the whole system: the wireless, the wired, the accessories that come with it, the 2-person operation that we recommend for you to do. We do have a couple other kits. Briefly, we have that's the USAR kit. That's how it comes in its foam. And then we have the MRK, which is in a sling pack that allows you. It's a much smaller, tighter space. It's a smaller system, priced less as well, and it's for medic rescue kit. So it's the one that we recommend for your medic teams to follow up the search team, or to have on the rescue rig to use for vehicle accidents, industrial accidents. It comes with some cool accessories for the front of the camera that allows you to bring water and wipes down to a victim, or on the back you can put it onto a tripod to monitor somebody over long periods of time. Then we have the RSK, which is a rapid search kit. It's a chest pack that has the tablet mounted into the chest pack, so it's a single person operation kit. Very, very promising. This is my information. So like I said before, this video is a generic training video, but we can do specialized training for your department, just reach out to us. We can do it through MS Teams. We send you an invite, you log in, and then you can ask us questions as we go along. So thank you for sitting through this hour. A couple of bit of glitches there. We had to do some editing, but anyway, we appreciate your business. We appreciate everything that you do in the rescue community. This camera was built specific for you. It was not adapted from anything else for you. It was built for you, and because of everything that we do, that you do, that we appreciate. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day and be safe.